Good morning, everyone. We will now begin the morning service of the Miroku Association headquarters, asking God and Meishu-sama to protect and bless us as we participate today in the construction of paradise on earth. Amatsu-Norito and Miroku prayer, please stand. 高原にかむずまります。かむろぎかむろみのみこともちで、すめにおやかむいさなぎのみことをつぐしのいむかのたち花のおどのあぎはらにみそぎはらいたもときになりませぬ。はらいどの神たちもろもろのまがごと積みげがりを払いたまえ清めたまえとまおすことのよしをあつかみくにつかみやおよろずの神たちともにアメンの口ごまの耳振り立ててきこしめせとかしこみかしこみむまおす弥勒おみかみ守りたまえ先あえたまえ弥勒おみかみ守りたまえ先あえたまえ教えみよや主の神守りたまえ先あえたまえ教えみよや主の神守りたまえ先あえたまえかんながらだまちはえませ。かんながらだまちはえませ。Great God of light, creator and giver of all life, in accordance with your divine will, the long age of night draws to an end. Your radiant divine light, shining ever more brilliantly, awakens the dawn of the glorious age of light, a time long awaited by all humanity. We thank you for guiding us to your divine plan and for the privilege of channeling and receiving Johrei. May our spirits and bodies be illuminated and purified as we live your truth given to us by Meishu-sama. Make us pure and effective instruments of your divine light, so that we may serve you and all those with whom we come in contact. May paradise on earth be realized with health, peace, and prosperity, a reality in our lives. Great God of light, bless and protect us, radiate our souls with your divine light, so that we may truly become instruments of your great plan. Please be seated. We will now receive group Johrei. Johrei is now concluded. We will now listen to a reading from Meishu-sama's teachings. World peace. When the hearts of all people are in harmony with the heart of God, it will mark the beginning of a truly peaceful world. Our colors and features differ. However, in the eyes of God, we are one, all children of His great kingdom. When everyone prays together for peace and joy, all the world's misfortunes and disasters will disappear. Imagine, if you will, a great painter about to create another masterpiece. This is the greatest painter of all, and the creation is to be titled Earth. The picture he is going to paint will show the perfection with which he creates all of his works. He will express his beauty using the infinite variety of colors he himself has mixed. The most important lines are those he draws in the beginning, the outlines of continents and oceans, and then the boundaries between countries, so each can have its own individual color. The great painting is skillfully drawn and colored in delightfully differing pigments, each unlike any other, yet all blending into that completely harmonious perfection for which he is known. This is the great art of God, and it symbolizes his creation of the world. The variety of colors represents the individual purposes for which God created each country. Each one has a specific mission to accomplish, just as does each person. Ignorance of this truth has caused the terrible confusion and conflict with which the world still suffers. One country, considering its own colors best, tries to repaint the rest of the world in that one color, something that can never be done successfully since it is not according to God's design. Someday, when every country learns that peace is the only way of life, this will become one world under one God, with all parts working together in their individual ways for the common good. When it becomes a reality, paradise on earth will have been completed, and the great painter's masterpiece will be perfect as he created it to be.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this morning service of the Miroku Association headquarters. Today I have one faith experience I'd like to share with you. Maria Leonor Pinto de Mesquita. She's from Portugal, from the Amarante Johrei group. Currently, the Amarante Johrei group operates at Maria de Mesquita's home, and she assists 22 members and 10 regular visitors. More than 20 years ago, there was a radical change in her life. Suddenly, she had to leave the comfortable life she had, having to start working to raise her 3 children. Her oldest daughter had been suffering from depression for some time, and the situation got worse because after finishing college, she couldn't find a job. 3 years later, a friend referred her to the Johrei Center, and after starting to receive Johrei, she started to feel much better. Soon after, she managed to find a job, which made her even happier, reinforcing her desire to receive the sacred focal point Ohikari. Since then, she began to attend church daily and give service with devotion. The first time Maria received Johrei was precisely through her daughter. At that time, Maria ran a gas and appliance sales company and suffered from severe headaches. However, upon receiving Johrei, the pains disappeared. Maria asked her daughter why the headache disappeared when she received Johrei, but being a very rational person, she couldn't understand her explanation. When she was invited by her daughter to go to the Johrei Center, she refused, even though she was receiving Johrei whenever the pain disturbed her. And just like that, some years passed. A few years ago, she learned from her daughter that a service in honor of the ancestors would be held in Brazil, and that some members from Portugal would also participate. In fact, Maria's late paternal grandmother was Brazilian. As she had a great empathy with her, they really had a great relationship, and she had a strong desire to get to know her grandmother's homeland. However, to participate in the pilgrimage, it was necessary to become a member of the church. And for that reason alone, Maria received the Ohikari in September of that year. So she went to Brazil for the first time in November as a member of the pilgrimage group from Portugal. When the bus entered the sacred grounds of Guarapiranga, something mysterious happened. Suddenly, her paternal grandmother's face appeared in front of her eyes, and with a radiant smile said to her, "Oh, finally you have come." Maria could feel that she was happy, and Maria became very emotional. The fact that all those people from Latin America, the United States, Africa, and Europe were present at the service, in short, participants from different parts of the world and from all races united in prayer, in line with Meishu-sama's heart, it was something that caused her great emotion. She felt the awakening to faith, and a strong decision was born within her that, from that moment on, she would dedicate her life to serving the divine work. Upon returning to Portugal, she went to talk to the head of the Johrei Center and asked him how she could make herself useful to God and Meishu-sama. At that time, he suggested that she go to the Johrei Center, which was a little less than 20 miles from her house, once a week. And on other days, he instructed her to hold Johrei gatherings at her home to expand salvation to those around her. As she still had little knowledge of our faith, she began studying Meishu-sama's teachings daily and shared what she learned with her friends. Especially interesting for her was regarding the spiritual world. She read those teachings several times and deepened her understanding. She invited friends to have coffee at her house, and there she talked about our faith and gave them Johrei. There were people who, despite being cured by Johrei, stopped coming, and others who even received Johrei without any apparent change in them voiced that Johrei was a good thing and guided others to Johrei. However, as they gathered in her house, so did the gossip and whining. Such problems disappeared from the day she received her home altar, which caused a big surprise in her. She understood that with the dedication of the home altar, the spiritual level of her house was raised, and she was very grateful for that. From that moment on, by giving Johrei with love to people in suffering and talking to them, based on the teachings of Meishu-sama, she was blessed to guide them, one by one, to receive the sacred focal point, Ohikari. A person who suffered from depression and took many medications through Johrei began to feel serene, happy, and no longer depend on medication. Even today, Maria herself stopped taking the medication that her family doctor had prescribed for life. Another person was saved from venous leg ulcers. Still another person was allowed to receive the miracle of expelling a cyst from the body without having to undergo a planned surgery. As usual, every month, the head minister of Portugal, Reverend Carlos Lucio, makes missionary visits to various centers and groups, among which he visited the Amarante Johrei group, where he stayed for several days. On these occasions, he visits pioneer members, channels Johrei to members, and visits homes and hospitals to provide religious assistance to those in purification. In addition, in order that ancestors can receive light and be saved, a prayer is held with members not only at the altar of the Johrei group site, but also in the cemeteries where the graves of the members' relatives are, in addition to praying at the monastery of San Gonçalo, who is the patron saint of Amarante. Having received guidance on several topics at that time, she expressed her fear of praying for the ancestors inside her house at the home altar. And at that time, Reverend Carlos taught her that praying for the ancestors consists in asking God for their elevation and salvation. From then on, in addition to the home monthly service, she began to pray to the ancestors at her home, and she was able to feel their joy. Later, while she was preparing to receive the Mita Maya, the home ancestors' shrine, although there was no reason to do so, she still felt a certain fear, despite having talked to Reverend Carlos. Her doubts were, for example, if the food be offered every day at the Mita Maya should be prepared especially for them, or if it could be what the family ate. Another, whether the ancestors were always there and whether they could not have mobility. Reverend Carlos explained that even without the Mita Maya, the ancestors are always with us. And by offering them food, flowers, prayers of love and gratitude, and by accumulating virtues through our daily dedication, eventually spiritual elevation is granted to them. And so we, their descendants, are led to happiness. In this way, the year before last, she was blessed to receive the Mitabaya in her home and began to feel her ancestors very close. The fear she had completely disappeared, and on the contrary, she started to live her daily life with a very light feeling. That same year, she was able to go to for the fourth time to the sacred grounds of Guarapiranga in Brazil. And while preparing for the trip, she could feel the happiness of her ancestors. In the dedication of the sacred grounds, she had the opportunity to receive various instructions from the volunteers and ministers of the liturgy regarding the Mita Maya, which confirmed and reinforced all the guidance already received from Reverend Carlos. Currently, the renovation of the headquarters in Portugal has progressed at a steady pace due to the efforts of the members. Maria feels that this is something of enormous importance to the Portuguese members, and she wishes to have permission to be part of that construction together with all the Portuguese members and friends and everyone who lives there. 2 years ago, it was the third time that she was allowed to join a pilgrimage group to the three sacred grounds of Japan. And Maria was honored to have been invited to give this faith experience at the altar of the sacred grounds of Atami and Kyoto on the occasion of the annual ancestor service in August. By receiving the light of the sacred grounds, she hopes to be able to expand and strengthen her feeling of selfless love. She would like to express her gratitude to all those who have followed her journey, starting from her daughter, who guided her to Johrei, to the ministers and Reverend Carlos, not forgetting those who remain in the Johrei group next to her, who also contributed a lot to her learning and evolution. She has her goal of continuing to channel Johrei with love and to be used as an instrument of God and Meishu-sama for the salvation of a greater number of people. Maria is very thankful to God, Meishu-sama, and her ancestors. Very nice experience from Portugal. This morning, I want to thank you for listening to these words. Wish you a very wonderful day. Thank you very much.
This brings to a conclusion of our morning service. Thank you everyone for joining us and have a blessed day.